How are you, my good people? Ile siku ni leo. We've been talking about Monday memories. Memories Monday. And if you have heard me talking about Mandela effect, loft, cars, car crash, and so many other theories that prove one of these things that we're going to talk about today. And before I go far, make sure unaenda pale YouTube. You know what? You subscribe, like, and share to support me in one way or the other. What memory distortion is? What memory distortion is? Memory distortion is when you recall an event differently from how it actually happened. And if you want to believe this, go to courts and you will understand what am I talking when we talk about memory distortion. You know, some of the people have been convicted in courts because of eyewitnesses. And I don't know why, because do you really know that when you recall something, it is not that your memory, your brains is a video recorder. It only stores information. It first encodes the information, stores the information, and it retrieves the information. But unfortunately, whatever we're doing here is about memory. And when you recall something, your brain reconstructs your memory. Sawa. And one thing you should know that your memory, it is editable by time, by you, and by people. Whatever you listen. That's what I'm saying. And at the same time, sometimes when you recall something, you only give it because you know how it actually happened. Sometimes you don't have the actual details. Sawa. Now, when I talk about memory distortion, actually, this is something which we need to understand well so that we can avoid so many things which we do because of we believe what is in our memory rather than the actual thing itself. And if you want to understand that your memory sometimes it is rigged, in short, look at this. Look at transience. This is another type of distortion. Transience. You know, in transience, it is forgetting details over time. That's what I'm talking. Forgetting details over time. You know, forgetting time, forgetting dates, symbol details just fade away. And then what else? So many things. Forgetting even your children's name. Actually, it happens. And then here you say that your memory is very okay to be used as a witness in court. That your memory is very okay to do business. No, it's not okay. Haya sasa. So transparency was one of them. So if you have ever forgotten about date, time, names of people, you always know that your memory is just rigged, and it needs some steps. There's some steps needs to be followed for you to go back. You need to go back and do something so that you can know what exactly you're saying. Because sometimes acha kuongea ovyo ovyo thinking that you're the right person. That's why mnaambiwa usiongeange sana, unaweza malizia kudanganya. And it's very true. Not that unadanganya kwa sababu umetaka kudanganya. It's because what is in your memory, it is already rigged completely. So whatever you're just saying, for you is 100% true, but in the ground, things are just different. Sawa. Talk about absent-mindedness. You even forget where you placed your keys. That is another sign, shows that your memory is distorted. Distortion. And that's what I'm talking about, distortion. Talk about blocking, and also talk about misattribution. You remember the info, but the wrong source. You know, that's what I'm talking about, misattribution. So sometimes, have you ever had somebody saying, but when you recall, you think that you ulikuwa umeona kwa TV, somebody speaking, or it was presented there. Sawa. So that's another kind of memory distortion. Sawa. Suggestibility, and also what we call persistence. Sawa. You know what? For instance, If today I develop a rumor and then I pass it to another 12 people, those 12 people will take it seriously. Those 12 people will take it seriously. And then they will spread it, and from there, people are going to get it. They are going to take it as a true what? A true thing. Watachukulia kama ukweli kabisa. And this is the part where we need to understand that akili zetu, yes, akili zetu, they are good. They can do something. They can do something good. But when you talk about to recall something, or to be used as the evidence in courts, or to be used, no. Our memories are not video recorder. They just act like Wikipedia, because this is something which can be edited anytime. It is reconstructive. It is also like it can change by time, you know. People can change it. What you hear can change it. So therefore, these memories are not reliable sometimes. Sawa. And then, why do you think this happens? Why do you think this mind distortion happens? Why? Talk about reconstruction. Everything you recall, your brain rebuilds the memory. By what? By fragments, inferences, by also expectations. Sawa. So the moment you try to recall something, there's another thing comes into your mind. What usually happens with the road accidents? What usually happens with the road accidents? And then, what are the expectations? What do people need? What do DCI need? DCI needs information. And where do they get this information? From the people. And where do these people get the information? From what they have seen and then taken into their memories. But if you take those two people in different positions and ask them what exactly happened, person A will tell you it ran against a red light, it ran against yellow light. And this is where we begin to develop what we call information barrier. It is not reliable completely. And that's why DCI sometimes are advised to do investigation, to know exactly what happened. Sawa. So talk about reconstruction, talk about schemas. Your brain fills gaps with what usually happens. So sometimes let us not be reliable on this information we get from people. People can completely destroy something because of what they know, and which is not true sometimes, but for them it's 100% true. Sawa. That's why even in marriages, you're advised that don't listen to what other people say. People, they only recall. They don't record information. They recall. And when they recall, I've told you, your brain reconstructs the memories by fragments, by expectations, by inferences. So sometimes you might take something seriously, which is going to bring you pain, but in the ground, that thing is not true. What it could happen. So kindly, let's be considerate and let's know what we're doing. There is this proverb which says, don't judge a book by its cover sometimes. So you need to do more and thorough investigation to know what actually happened. Talk about schemas. I've already talked about that, and also emotional and attention. So when we talk about emotion and attention, this is something you need to understand also. We might talk something because of the emotions we have in our hearts, or the emotions we have already developed in us. So these emotions makes people to talk anything just the way they want. Sawa, because of the emotions, feelings in short. A feeling can drive you crazy and do something which was unnecessary. After all, when the feelings are over is when you start regretting what have I just done. But it's because you believed what you saw, what you heard from other people giving out. Sawa. So tusisikizange watu sana. And sometimes let us not use eyewitnesses and we believe them 100% because also they are human beings. In their brains, there is nothing like a video recorder. So they only see and judge, and they give its own understanding, and that kind of information from people, especially from our memories, it is not reliable. We need to find a different means when we do such things. So even in our courts currently, it is not advised that we use eyewitnesses. Okay, they are good to some point, but then if you're using eyewitnesses, sometimes they need to be examined well. Yeah, they need to be examined well. Some don't have stable memories. Some yeah, people, sometimes people are getting tired, getting old, are getting old. As they get old, also everything in them also gets old. Yeah, but when we talk about mind distortion, distortion occurs to everybody, and when it occurs to everybody, this means nobody is safe. So let us be considerate. Let's know what we are doing. Let's know what we are talking, and let's know what we are doing exactly with our memories. So don't hear somebody saying something you take as a true fact. Sometimes go sit down, do more research, and know what is exactly happening. So that's why I'm saying we only believe, we only understand the gist and the meaning, but we don't know the exact details. And when we don't know the exact details, we might end up making bad decisions and later on regret. Sawa sawa. You know, back then, nikiwa primary, I read this story. Nilikuja ku exam that one day two students hawakuwa wanapenda kwenda shule. So that day walikuwa wamedecide wataenda late because they had to engage themselves in some other nasty things. So they drew a plan, wakachora plan. Wakasema this plan itakuwa hivi, tukifika shule tutadanganya mwalimu accident occurred and we lost one of our own. We had to take him to the hospital. Wakasema by the way, hey, waka agree that's a good idea, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. You see what? Now listen to this story. After they have agreed, so they went to school late. Kufika shule. And this is what I like the teachers what they did. That's why I'm saying sometimes you need to go sit down and know what's exactly happening. So wakafika shule, waka explain, you know, we are late because as we were coming, we lost one of our own, and we had to take care of him. Lazima tungemchukua hospitali and blah 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 blah. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, wakasema that's very good because your people are caring and concerned. So they were told, then the teachers wakawapea plain papers, blank papers, wakambia kila mtu akakaa differently hadi penye hakuna mwingine anaona mwingine. Then they were told write what you saw. Wakaambiwa kila mtu aandike kenye aliona, na hapo penye unaandika you just write color. Huyu kijana alipata accident, alikuwa amevaa, hospitali mlimpeleka, na mlipomfikisha hospitali nini ili happen, alishughulikiwa aje, sawa 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 sawa. And then you write how the event occurred, but actually venye event ilioccur, the color of the cars, that ama the color of the car which ilisababisha accident, sawa sawa, and the exact place where the accident occurred. Remember, these students hawako wamejua kama that thing will happen, wataulizwa maswali kama hayo, and later on they were proved wrong. Sawa sawa. But ebu imagine kama walimu wangekaa wajinga wakubali tu, yes, it was an accident and that's how things do happen, na waanze kuambiana pole, starting getting emotional, akipole, some start crying, it's very unfortunate, but under the ground, kwa ground yani vitu ni different kabisa. Mind distortion. So when your mind gets distorted, hadi kudanganywa is very easily because you believe in anything you just hear. So if you believe in anything you just hear, your brain is already distorted. Your memory is already distorted. Sometimes you need to do research, and when you are sure of what you are doing, actually you get to be somebody who is very sober, and you can handle everything which comes before you with a very very good mind. And in this case, you are very brilliant. Actually, you can handle anything in a good manner, in a good way. In short, so I've talked about the schemas. Now I want to talk about famous examples that everyone knows when we talk about memory distortion. Now, here we talk about Mandela effect. Millions remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. He didn't die. Actually, it was 2013. They shared false memory was true to many individuals, actually millions of people. That's what I talk about, the Mandela effect. So that's another thing which proves that our mind is distorted because we believe in other people's memory. Sawa sawa. And remember that memory is not a video recorder. It is not an audio recorder. It's just what you recall. And whatever you recall, your brain reconstructs. When it reconstructs it, then it becomes a false information and the process gets messy. And the moment it gets messy, bro, we get ourselves in a bad situation. Talk about eyewitness testimony. Many studies show people are confidently wrong about details like height. Talk about what again? We talk about height, weapon type, car color after seeing a leading question, So people actually get distorted easily by this information. So when you see a leading question, for instance, this is a good question. There's a thing what we call loft cars. I don't know the pronunciation of that word, but mtamsamea tu niseme venye naielewa. Lofters car crash study. Hii car crash study, kitu huyu mtu alikuwa anasema ni kwamba participants who had smashed into each other. For instance, wakati an accident inaoka, and then you go and examine those people ama to question those people, mmoja atakwambia the car zile contact sawa sawa. Mwingine atakwambia the car ili smash. Mwingine atakwambia the car collided sawa sawa. Ama ingine itakwambia hii gari ilikuja ikaingia juu ingine sawa sawa. So the information is not reliable sawa sawa. And these are the same people are taken to court as eyewitnesses. Mnafunga watu wengine bro. Actually, if you go to prisons, mimi sometimes I get emotional, by the way. Sometimes I get emotional. Somebody serves us simply because of one's man mistake tu ya kutoona information vizuri, and then unafika court unafunga mtu mwenye alikuwa na dreams kubwa. Somebody who had big dreams anaishia kuozea pale in jail just because you never sat and ukafikiria mara mbili what you're talking about. No dreams locked behind steel bars. And if you really want to understand life, you just go to prison. And ask those people about how prison life is. Sometimes I hear high schoolers say that we are in prison. I just laugh. Nacheka tu nasema, you don't understand life. If you really understand life, you won't talk just like that, because people outside there are suffering, completely suffering because of other people's mistake. Sawa. Yeah, we need to be careful on what we say. Yeah, si kila kitu by the way unaona unafaa kuongea. You don't need to be loud everywhere. Sometimes being silent saves. Kunyamaza kunasaidia sometimes. So don't just yap anywhere thinking that you're the right person. Yep. Don't yap kindly. Yeah. As I was saying, and what do you think this matters? What do you think this matters? Talk about legal system. In our legal system, eyewitnesses are unreliable but persuasive. By the way, in short, don't depend on eyewitnesses. And I prefer, that's why our government should install CCTVs in our towns, those places which are busy, where we have traffic jams, in our highways, so that we can use them to know what exactly happened rather than using people. Because these people use brains and have memories. The moment they recall, their memories are reconstructed. They just give information according to what normally happens. Because even me, if I'm asked the accident occurred somewhere and I don't have correct information, I will just say ni gari mbili ziligongana, and though I was not there. And these people will believe ni gari mbili ziligongana. And sometimes the accident inokaa gari na mtu mmoja tu, and people do that. Sometimes gari yenyewe inapata accident, na accident ni brakes zilikatika, but someone can say ni gari mbili, moja ilikuwa inatoka juu, moja ilikuwa inatoka chini, and they just collided, people died. Na upate tu ni gari moja. And that's how our eyewitnesses are. So you can see what I'm talking about. So talk about media and marketing, talk about personal life, arguments, especially do you know what? Do you know all of us, we can be watching football, same football, and then now when we go back and discuss it, kuna mali itafika tuelewani completely, and this thing hapana, ni Saka alifunga, no si Saka, ni Man ilichukua kikombe, yani ni whatever, ni Crystal Palace ilichukua kikombe, na hapo ni Arsenal ilichukua kikombe. Watu wa Arsenal hoye. Pia but then I need to congratulate you, mlitoka, but there you showed up well. You people are the real fans, and this is a special dedication to our baba, the right Raila Amolo Odinga. By the it was a good thing you did. So Arsenal fans, congratulations for what you did, and may God bless you always. Yeah, so I've been talking for this for a while, and I'll continue talking for this. It is very important so that we know what we are doing. So those people swear akivi Mungu moja hii lifanyike hivi, no, please don't swear. Know that your memory is not reliable. Your memory can be reconstructed, and it can be editable. So please, let's be careful on what we say. Now, I want to ask something, and I don't know whether to ask or to just talk about it. And this thing is this: do you think your childhood memory and where you are today, adulthood memory, is the same? Do you recall anything when you were young? If you recall anything when you were young, and you go back to the photos and the short videos ulikuwa umechukua when you were young, you will see that there's something which is not blending. Kuna vitu hazingiani, there's something hazingiani kenye unakumbuka na kenye kili happen exactly. So like you can see, but anyway, if you want to know more, actually every Monday itakuwa live, I think, and then tutakuwa discuss more about these memories. But for today nimeongelea about mambo na quote na mambo na kutumia eyewitnesses. By the way, if you want to have a working relationship, sometimes don't use people to investigate it. You are investigating your wife using people. No. But kama unamuinvestigate mweke CCTV kwa sijui kwa wapi. But using people, actually you will never settle. Na wale watu wanataka kuwa wana biashara, also take care, because you need to have a very sharp memory yenye inakumbuka well. Sometimes unaenda unalipa mtu wa duka, bado kesho kimandona hukulipa deni, na deni ndio tulilipa wewe. So kindly let's be careful on what we do. But at the meantime, I want to say kilicho na mwanzo hakikosi si mwisho kwa leo, but vile tukutane on Wednesday bias. Itakuwa tu ni mushene kuanzia saa 8 mpaka saa 9. Tafadhali tuungane pale, and then if you guys are good, try to support this young youth so that we can move to another level. You don't know kesho ya mtu. The only thing is you can do is to support. Na kusupport ni kuingia pale YouTube, you just watch also, but also subscribe, like and share, so that things can work out well. Goodbye.